Really excited to introduce Taz, who is coming to us from Bell in Canada. And interestingly, I actually grew up right across the Great Lakes from Toronto over there in Western New York. So it's a place that I always love to visit. Definitely glad to have you representing here. Taz is going to be talking to us about the hunting immaturity model. Now, we've seen the hunting maturity model, the HMM, and we're going to be looking at this with a little bit of a different perspective, which I think you're going to appreciate. So, that all said, Taz, we're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us and sharing some of your knowledge with us today. Happy to turn this over to you and see what you got for the immaturity model.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Uh, yeah, as introduced by Phil, today I'll be talking about the hunting immaturity model. It is actually a parody of hunting maturity model that probably all of you know. It's created by the one and only Dave Bianco. It was a great talk he presented this morning. I think it's a really important issue that we all need to be aware of. Thank you so much for presenting that, Dave. And yes, so about this model, first of all, let me introduce myself because actually this is my very first time presenting in the summit. I'm Manga Tas Tonda. I usually go by Tas. I'm a threat hunter for one of the major Canadian telecom company. We also do ISP, we also do technology stuff. So pretty much they do everything. But on the job itself, what I do mainly it's threat hunting, which also involve research and detection development. We do some threat intelligence, working with IOC pipeline, etc., DFIR, and of course, in this modern day, automation is everywhere. Outside of work, outside of like staring at logs and stuff, I do enjoy doing astrophotography. I actually added some of my pictures that I'm pretty proud of. So it's just nice being out there looking at the stars. I also enjoy, of course, cooking, music when I'm away from the keyboard. If you would like to connect with me, I put my Twitter there, my LinkedIn, and also my GitHub when I usually posted my presentation slides, my research, etc. So first of all, disclaimer, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this presentation belong solely to me, the author, and not from my employer, my organization, committee, or other group or individuals. So first of all, before go to the hunting maturity model, I think it's important for us to just look back, take a glance on what is a hunting maturity model, the one that I do parody of. So what it is and why. And then we'll go to the hunting immaturity model, again, what and why. And then we'll go to each level in details from level 0 to level -1, -2, -3, and -4. So disclaimer again, although this talk is a parody from the hunting maturity model, there is no intention to make fun of HMM. In fact, this talk will show how HMM is actually a really good metric to follow for you to grow your hunting programs. I personally believe in that. So I will try to show what's my perspective on that to you via these few slides. So hunting maturity model, what it is actually, it will show you the hunting capability in an organization. It will range from level 0 to level 4. So there's like 5 different levels. And it is based on certain focus points. So how you collect your data, how your team create hypotheses on hunting, how do you use your tools, and how do you use techniques? Can you do any pattern or TTP detection mechanism? And lastly, analytics automation. We're talking about big data, machine learning, etc. So 5 stages of HMM. Level 0 is initial, level 1 minimal, level 2 procedural, innovative, and the last level, which is for leading. And then again, on the left, you can see the characteristic, how you collect data, hypothesis creation, etc. And then you can see on the top the way the level itself. So for example, data collection on level 0, you have little to no data collection, which is fine because you're level 0, you're just started. And then if you go up to the right, you'll see in the highest one, you'll have like high data collection of many types throughout the IT environment, which you should have when you're leading in the threat hunting. So same idea, if you go down the column, you'll see more information on this. So why use HMM? It's stated that it can give organization a granular view of what hunting process steps that they need to take to improve and then to go to the next stage of the hunting maturity. So again, the improvement, of course, you can do data source gap analysis, so you can tell which data source I need to acquire next. Hunting ideas sources, so you can start from, just go to Twitter. Maybe you can just start looking to your own inventory, looking to your own crown jewels. Maybe you can thinking what tools I need to buy next. Again, just like the data source, of course, you can do detection gap analysis. Once you know which data source you need, you can build detection on top of it. And lastly, analytics acquisition. So you can start hiring data scientists. You can start hiring more people that can work on the big data, security engineers, and also getting all those required infrastructure, which is really a big problem sometimes when you don't have it. So what goes up must come down. So I saw this meme on Twitter, credits to 4octets. I do believe not all of the company are like this, but I'm pretty sure there are some company are doing it like this. So this is just not how you threat hunting, not just by using a framework, no loggings, no protection information gather. So there are sets of things that you need to have before you do threat hunting. So again, what goes up must come down. So first of all, and the most important of all, threat hunting is not fun and easy. It's not always fun and easy. So I asked numerous people, what are some challenges that they have faced or are facing in the world of threat hunting, detection engineering, etc. You'll probably know some of these names because it's a small word. For example, for Samir Buzadin, he said like it's too much confidence in your own detection. So you're being too proud of your own detection. So that's not good. For Matthew Saulnier, it's my friend, my ex-coworker, and my mentor also. So not everyone is a good person for threat hunter. So you need a certain traits to be a good threat hunter. So one of the trait I think is persistence. Just like APT, we also need to be persistent in detecting them. David Bianco mentioned, well, even if you agree on definition, many people can misunderstand the purpose of threat hunting, which is I see a lot everywhere. Tony Lambert mentioned simply not having some sort of feedback loop to learn and improve. So exactly what Samir say, if you're too confident on your detection, you just like not having any feedback because of it, because you're just too proud of it. And lastly, Olaf Hartong mentioned building a team because of it's a buzzword and equip with people that want to do it because it's just cool. I mean, the title, it's cool, threat hunting, but the job itself, when I started, I asked around, what is threat hunting? And then I get a response on Reddit. It's pretty much, yeah, you just look at logs. I can kind of confirm that it's kind of true. You'll interact a lot with logs. But of course, you'll do some other cool stuff. So moving forward, let's talk about hunting and maturity model, the main talk in this talk, which is hunting and maturity model is pretty much the long lost brother of HMM, hunting maturity model. So this model will instead provide you with common mistakes, then common success, that the hunt teams or their management have made. And it will be divided into 5 several levels, just like HMM. It will base also on certain focus point, just like HMM. For the first one will be dedicated personnel. The second one, management understanding of threat hunting. The hunt organization, planning, prioritization, and capability. The integration with the rest of the security body in the organization. And then lastly, CI/CD, continuous improvement, deployment, and also learning. So 5 stages of HIM. So just like different with the HMM, this one is a bit, it's actually flat. So there's no bad, no worse. But in my personal opinion, the last level is the worst. So level 0, no hunters. Level -1, hunters question mark. Level -2, confused hunters. Level -3, disconnected hunters. And level -4, ignorant hunters. So I use this, well, these are real mistakes occur in real organization with my conversation with people, looking back to my organization, just studying from everywhere. You can use this model to avoid those mistakes without making the mistake itself, which is priceless, right? Well, alternatively, if you see yourself in one of them, you can help yourself by following some of the tips how to get out that I mentioned in this presentation. So you will learn in the different areas that I mentioned before, so management, understanding of threat hunting, organization planning, prioritization, integration with the rest of security body, CI/CD, and avoid it. That's the most important thing. You need to avoid it. If you go watch this presentation, you finish, you go back, and then you still do it, this presentation is useless. So please use this to avoid it. Okay, let's talk about each levels in details. So level 0, no hunters. What it is? So who are they? Who are these people? Who are the organization that is on level 0? So they're usually a relatively new SOC or security body. They have other priorities, of course. Hunting is not in picture yet, which is completely fine. It is not the first picture in security bodies in anywhere. So they focus on other things. For example, hiring the right people, conducting training, incident response creation for the procedure and planning, building up infrastructure architecture, and also boarding logs and data sources, which is really important things to do first. Well, they relies heavily on what vendors provided, which is completely fine, because that's what vendors supposed to do. They'll provide you with content so you can use right away. And they start learning how to use the vendor tools. They play around with the, settings and stuff like that. And they create their own procedure for each tools, which is a good thing to do at start. So how do you get out from there to HMM level 1? Not to HIM level 1, but to the HMM level 1. So first of all, take some time. Be mature enough, because threat hunting is not intended for newly formed security body. I don't think some people will not like it when I say that, but it is the truth. So you need to prepare a lot of stuff for the threat hunting capability. So logging capability, the first of them. You can get what sources you need from MitterAttack, and you can look inside what you have currently. You need to document security infrastructure really well. That includes asset management. Having people that understand your organization network and architecture, like really understand it in and out. Create and document good incident response process. Don't make incident response process like the meme on the side. So just say just read documentation, but the documentation doesn't make any sense. So don't do that. Make a good incident response process. Make a good documentation. And again, you will need analysts that understand every single step of the incident response process. So when something happens, they know what to do. So most of the time, the first threat hunter is actually an ex-analyst. So because they have the understanding of the organization network, and then they just know pretty much all the process inside the company. So moving forward to the HIM -1, hunters question mark. Why there's a question mark in there? Because they do have at least one threat hunting member, or it's just their title. And oftentimes the reason behind the hiring of the person is just because of the hype of the buzzwords, like threat hunting. So just like AI, SOAR, E/XDR, you name those stuff. There's a lot of them. And because of the buzzword, they don't actually prepare to do threat hunting operation. So they have no proper consumer of the rules, which is the SOC 24/7 monitoring. They have no logging capability, or small logging capability. That is not enough. They have tons of expensive security tools, but it's not configured properly because they might not have an engineer to do that. And no infrastructure or an engineering team to support threat hunting operation. For example, the threat hunting team might need to spin up their own SIM. That doesn't make sense. That's not what threat hunting team do. That's what engineers do. So the question mark is for the management. Do they even know what threat hunting is? So they actually don't know what is threat hunting, like what is the proper threat hunting. So they make a mistake assuming what is the role of threat hunting is, such as they do threat intel work all the time. So they just monitoring threat from the outside. But threat hunting is more looking what on the inside and compare it to what bad things outside. And then most of the times threat hunter act as a level 3, level 4 for SOC analysts. So they're doing incident response all the time, and hunting, it's just a side activities. But their title is threat hunter, so that's not how it works. And lastly, as I mentioned before, threat hunter working on Defender tools, working on the SIEM, working on the EDR, configuring stuff. It's just more engineering and not really hunting / threat research thing to do. How do you get out from that? Still related to the last level, don't jump to the boat too quick. Be a mature SOC first, get your things done first, then start thinking about building a threat hunting team. Again, as I mentioned before on the last level, promote your best analysts if the person is suitable to be our first ever threat hunters because they know everything. And again, prepare your infrastructure and tools. And as a management, as a leader of the threat hunting team, you can inform yourself on the threat hunting practices. For example, this conference is a great place to do. There's a lot of case study and presentation. There's literally a million of them on the internet. Use common frameworks to start. HMM is great. Hunting cycle, it's great. Pyramid of pain, it's good for aiming what to detect. Also, frameworks such as MyRaTech, CKC, you can use it to build content. And of course, ask help when needed. You know when you need help, ask from community. You can even hire like seasoned team leader, or you can pay consulting firm because these days they also provide threat hunting services and they are good at it because that's what people pay them for. So next level, it's level -2, which is confused hunters. So they have dedicated personnel, right tasks, right skill set, management know what they have to do, but there's a but here. They're dedicated, but they're disorganized for some reason. So their hunting operation, it's just like ad hoc. It feels like a side task for them. So because they have no structured process and they have no clear goal of what to hunt. Are we making detection? Are we detecting gaps, etc.? And again, it is supported with no documentation on hunting that has been completed. What are the consequences? Well, different members can perform the same hunt twice because of that. Or worse, same member perform twice. Maybe this year you do like a DNS hunting, and then next year he did it again because nobody remembered that they did it last year. So that's really bad. Waste of time, waste of money. And it's really important to do planning and prioritization. But on this level, they don't have that. You have limited or no planning and prioritization at all because they don't follow any framework usually. So MyRaTech is great to set your goal. You can build your own, of course, from your threat intel report or your risk assessment team's report, but it's going to be harder. But you need a framework to start working on. But when you have framework, you cannot just take it raw as it is. You need to compare it with what you have. Don't try to cover MyRaTech from like T1000 to like T1500, like alphabetically. You should look into your environment and ask question, is this attack even applicable to us? Is it important? Do we have like a Linux server? Can we use it or not? So, and then when they try to plan and prioritize, they might prioritize the wrong things. Again, they say, okay, let's do Windows Server because it is our crown jewels. Like our main website is hosted in Windows Server. That's what the risk assessment team say. And they say, okay, let's do that. But when they go to their SIEM, they log in, they'll look for the index, they look for the data source. Okay, we don't see any Windows servers. We only see Windows endpoints. So they cannot do the work. So make sure to have some, like requirement done first before you do the hunting on something. That also something that you need to think about when you're prioritizing something. So how do you get out from there? Organization. How do you organize a good hunting? So you perform one ideal, close to perfect hunting in your opinion, and then take note of all the steps taken. And then you formalize that, create documentation to support it, put it somewhere that everyone can see it, improve and adjust it over time. Maybe you can review it every 6 months, every year, etc. And do documentation as a habit, because it's always great to have documentation ready when you need it. Planning and prioritization, follow the framework. Please don't be just like, oh, I don't need framework. No, you need framework. You can create your own, but it's harder. Look inside what your organization first. You can ask these questions. What is our crown jewels? What visibility and what logging do we have inside? Severity and probability of the attack, so it's cost benefit analysis. And lastly, do we have capability to deploy detection? For example, if you're detecting like advanced data extraction, you probably need machine learning. You need data scientists. Don't try to tackle that if you don't have data scientists or like a good SIM with a machine learning capability, because you will fail for sure. And again, assess the framework against the priority, the question that you just asked. When it's overlaps, that's when you start. Those are the stuff that you want to prioritize. So my friend, my mentor here have a great talk on the planning and prioritization using attack. So he called it SOC counter attack. So it's a really great talk. I put the link there so you can watch it. It is really a great talk for this particular information. HIM -3, disconnected hunters. So what are they? Who are they? They have dedicated personnel, great skill. They have good organization, good planning, good prioritization. Management understand them. But they operated in the disconnected exclusive bubble in the organization itself. So they're pretty much like a pipeline of detection. So they make quality research, they push decent detection rules, dashboard to production, but that's the end of it. They don't have any connection with the rest of the security operating center or a security body in the organization. So who can you work with? Well, there's multiple people you can work with. You got work with management, your boss, SOC analyst and incident responder, infrastructure and architecture people, red team, VA, pen test, all the offensive people, whatever you call them, risk assessment, threat intelligence people, and then lastly, development team. How do you can get out from this level of disconnection, right? So for each different roles, I mentioned something that you can do. So management, you need to show them your progress in coverage. There's a lot of tools you can use. You can build your own using MitterAttack, like a navigator, or you can use DTAC. It's pretty good to use that. You can provide feedback on yearly plans. For example, okay, we are missing a bunch of logs. Maybe it's time for us to do logs onboarding next year. For SOC analyst and incident responder, you can give them training on some difficult TTP triage. For example, Kerber roasting. Not everyone knows Kerber roasting, but if you taught them what is Kerber roasting, they'll understand when the ticket comes to them. Oh, okay, this is Kerber roasting. I know what to do. Provide good documentation on the detection that you have built. So when they need to know what are you detecting, they can just go to the page and then okay, this makes sense. And lastly, false positive. It is real and it is really like a big problem in terms of 24/7 ticketing. Can introduce like fatigue to them. So work with them to reduce the false positive. Infrastructure architecture, you can identify logging gaps and tell them, hey, we are missing this, and then go to the management and management say, yes, okay, it's time to board these logs. And you can mention them possible tools to be acquired. For example, MitterAttack have like the tools assessment. They try it against certain TTPs, and you can tell them, oh, based on this, like study, this tool are better. But we have, like have discussion with them regarding what tools can be acquired. And then recommend configuration changes. For example, Sysmon, OS Query, AuditBit, all of them need to be configured. So you know what is good configuration is because you try to detect stuff using them. So you can tell them, hey, we might need to enable DLL loading on Sysmon monitoring for this specific DLLs because it's being used by, for example, Metasploit or other tools. Again, moving to the offensive security people, well, incorporate them into purple teaming exercise. For example, Kerber roasting, it's hard to do if you're in the threat hunting team. So just, go to their room and like, hey, can you help us with Kerber roasting? Because they have proper offensive infrastructure, and sometimes for them it's just one click and everything like go blasting. The TGT, all the silver tickets just flying around. You can ask them for help, and then work together to detect it. Risk assessment, threat intelligence, I mentioned it earlier, to build your priority. So learn about crown jewels, learn about any actors that are getting you, any new techniques from threat intelligence community. And then lastly, development team, learn on the application itself. For example, your company making application, so you need to learn what the application do, so you can understand the logs, and you can suggest improvement on the logging function. Okay, for example, on the logging page, I think we need to log the failed logins because we can detect root force via that logs. And then they'll probably say, okay, that's a good idea and it's easy to implement. And then that's a better security posture for both of you. Last level, HIM-4, ignorant hunters. Who are they? They pretty much take all the good things except they're ignoring a lot of side responsibilities that is still important. It can be during or after the hunting and detection creation. They're making a lot of assumptions because they are big-headed. They just like, I know everything. And then because of that, they also lack of improvements and relearning. So they don't want to do that at all. So what are some of the traits? So blind hunting with a lot of assumptions. So for example, open source detection tools, let's say the Elastic rule repo or like Sigma. So they just take that blindly and put it in the production without really performing emulation of the technique, because they say, okay, they have like 500 stars on GitHub, so this is going to be good. But not always that, because every single environment is different. Even your lab and your production environment will be different in the same company. So when you're testing something in the lab, you need to make sure that it is the same configuration in the production, so the alert will work itself. The second one, ignoring that the detection is interconnected system. So no understanding of logging engineering, configuration, deployment limitation, and also no understanding of SIM, because that's pretty much the main tools they're working in. There's like things like field mapping, data parsing, limitation on the computational power. So they just completely ignore that. You don't have to be a master in this, but you need to know some of them. You need to understand the limitation and stuff like that. The next one will be no continuous detection monitoring. So there is no CI/CD pipeline, I would say. So you need to test your rules, your detection every single time, almost every day, because something will go wrong eventually. You just know that for a fact. Anywhere in the pipeline it can go wrong. So you need to test it. You can deploy RTA or ART, or you can buy like a premium solution from different companies. And they also have no audit process, for example, to check the false positive rate or to check missing documentation, missing trainings for the analysts. So yeah, those are not good if you're doing it. No improvement in learning because they are too confident of what they have developed. They see no points of redoing TTPs. For example, they use MatteraTag. Okay, we cover everything. No, that's not how it works, because MatteraTag, it's constantly updated every few months. So you need to look into it. You need to go outside, just learn about new stuff. You need to redo some stuff sometimes. And because of that, they're also not taking effort to learn logging mechanism. Again, for example, go to dev team, like, okay, what is this custom apps doing? Can you tell us? Or talk to network security people, like, can you help us understand this Juniper logs, this Cisco logs? Because I don't think all threat hunters know network security stuff really well. So getting out from there, you need to perform all the required tests, emulation tests when building something. It's emulation, it's needed from the start to the end. So from the source of the logs, your proxy, your endpoint, your server, all the way to the alert creation on the SIEM, all the way to the ticketing. And also, when you review open source detection, make sure you review it thoroughly. And if it's applicable, back to the prioritization, is there any false positive in it or not? So you need to check that first. Make effort to understand underlying technologies. There's a lot of free SIM trainings, Splunk, Elastic, a lot of free outside. And then when there's a detection need some changes in infrastructure, it is better if you know what to change than just asking infra team like, hey, can you help us with this? But we don't know what to change. It's gonna end bad. It's gonna take some times. But if you have exactly what you need to change, you can do it. And again, automated testing of the framework. You'll be able to verify if the detection is working or not all the time. And you need to test the whole pipeline again, from the source to the end, all the way to the ticketing. So including the pipeline, to the SIEM, to the data parsing, to the detection engine, every single thing inside. You need to know what's going on in there. And this is the only one thing that it's good to assume. Assume that your detection will be bypassed by the attacker. Because when you run out of ideas, just making stuff up, like what if this happened? Imagine if that happened. So, and also you can easily get those ideas from the industry. You go to conference presentation, specifically red team presentation, how they bypass MC. Is there new ways? You can learn from there. Check new tools, like is it like CrackMap exact new version out? Is it the Bloodhound version, the newer version out? Okay, we gotta try that, etc. Twitter, LinkedIn, websites, Medium, every single place you can find those information. You just need, again, persistent to do it. Just like APT, you need to be persistent in learning stuff. And as a closing, again, everybody knows, I think, threat hunting is not easy. It's known from my experience, from people I talk in the community, so it's community experience. And HIM is created to inform and also help you about it if you are in there already. So the 5 stage, just a reminder, no hunters, hunters question mark, confused hunters, disconnected hunters, ignorant hunters, all same level. But in my opinion, the last one is the worst one. The -4 is the worst one. And I made this pretty nice diagram table, just like a hunting maturity model. So you can easily see which one is where and what level you're currently in, and then what you can do outside. You need to refer back to your slides. Well, yeah, don't be like a big-headed. So utilize everything out there, especially HMM and HIM. You look for progresses to achieve, and you look also for mistakes to avoid. Well, it's always nice when you can always learn from others' experience. You don't have to take the pain, right? So just some credits. Thank you so much for these people, my employers, my coworkers, Sans DeFeer, DFIR, sorry, for the opportunity to speak here. David Bianco, Matthew Solny, Olaf Hartong, Samir, Tony Lambert, thank you so much for the feedback. Visuals are taken from these sites, template from slideview.com. Yeah, that's pretty much the talk. Yeah, my Twitter down there, my LinkedIn, my GitHub. My team is actually doing some blog posting. So if you you're interested to learn what's up with our team, what detection we're building, you can just go there and check it. And yeah, Hunting Immaturity Model, thank you for tuning in. Slides will be available on GitHub, but also will be available on the SANS website. So that's all. Thank you so much.